Ladies act like gents. See, lyrically, what up, everybody? It is 10 a.m. in the District of Columbia, points north, south, east, and west. You're listening to BMitch and Finlay. I'm Finlay. I'm in a tent in Ashburn, Virginia. Say I'm 30, 35 miles west of Washington, D.C. Brian Mitchell, NFL legend, BMitch, as many like to call him. Lord knows where he is. I think he's 50 miles into the eastern shore of Maryland on his way to riding a bicycle from Washington, D.C. to Dewey Beach. And I got to be honest, it's a little nuts. We're expecting to hear from BMitch. He's been sending us photos. He seems fired up. Seems like he's doing well. I texted with him last night to tell him to take his ass to bed because he had an early morning. I believe he started on his bike at 4:30 in the morning. We are always proud, impressed, and a little bit scared of what a maniac BMitch is. Let's say good morning to the boys in the aquarium. Hello, Jeffrey. Hello, Landini. How do we do?
Hello.
What's up?
That's true psycho behavior from BMitch.
What up? Sure. It's also standard, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the weird stuff I do, we've all grown accustomed to it. The maniacal stuff Brian does, we've all grown accustomed to it. Listen, man, there's a pretty major news story going on around the world, frankly, that I think we got to at least address. I am lucky. My guy, Toby Altizer, is going to sit in with us for most of the day, maybe the whole damn day. We'll see. Good morning, Toby. How do you do?
What's going on?
Nothing. Toby and I are out at training camp. We're going to go through kind of what we saw, what we heard from the head coach. We should hear from Emmanuel Forbes and Tyler Biotish at the podium today, which will be cool. This staff is certainly sticking with Forbes. Like, he's getting a lot of work, a lot of opportunities. And, dude, a year ago, the whole NFL had him graded as a first-round pick. Now, they didn't probably not ahead of Christian Gonzalez like Ron and crew did. But outside of that, he was going to go top 20, top 25, no matter what. There's clearly talent there. Maybe they can get it going. But they claim he's added weight. I'm not sure I see it, but we'll hear from Forbes a little later. That's going to be interesting. But listen, there's a story that has kind of taken over the world, and the Olympics have been largely a ton of fun. I watched Simone Biles. I try to not pay attention during the day and then just watch the primetime coverage because that's just how I enjoy it. Unfortunately, I knew that she won, but it was still incredibly cool to watch because, I mean, just the level of talent is unbelievable. But this global boxing story has emerged, and generally we would avoid stuff like this. I know it matters a lot to Jeff. Jeff's a very opinionated person when it comes to boxing and rules and weight classes and really just how everything shakes out. And I don't know, frankly, that I am the right vehicle to start providing opinions on what's going on in boxing and what has people, so enraged and, feeling so decisive and defensive. And I don't want to put Jeff in a weird spot and make him be kind of our chief commenter on this. But Jeff, the one boxer I know that you have felt strongly about for some time, and I know that, this thing is starting to cross over into pop culture, mainstream culture, political culture, all of these things. And let's not get up in arms about boxing. All right. As a show, I'm ready to take a stance. I don't know if you guys are all ready to walk this plank with me, but here we go. I want Terrence Crawford to beat Israel Madrimov this Saturday, and I can't wait to watch Eminem perform during the fight. Are we all ready to root for Terrence Crawford this weekend? Is everybody on board?
Of course, you're crazy if you're not rooting for Terrence Crawford this weekend. It is going to be a beatdown.
I can't believe the two of you would say something like that. I'm Israel Madrimov 100%, and I frankly think it's outrageous and offensive that you would suggest otherwise.
You're insane. I'm willing to bet some money on that.
Damn it, Landfill. How dare you polarize our nation by taking Israel Madrimov over Terrence Crawford with Eminem in attendance?
Look,
how dare you?
Your terrible takes are dividing the show, and I won't stand for it anymore.
Oh, God, I enjoyed that. All right, yeah, watch that fight if you want to. We're going to talk about football. We're going to talk a little bit about. I did watch the gymnastics last night, and what Simone Biles. Now, all three of the women that medaled, is that the right term? We're going deep cut Olympic talk here. All three of the women that medaled last night were incredible. I had no idea, zero idea, the backstory on Suni, that she had quit gymnastics a year ago. She had like this rare kidney disorder. My wife was telling me all this, and I was just blown away by it. What's cool about the Olympics is it's sports I never watch and people I haven't really heard of. But then you're blown away by the human element, right? Like just the perseverance. That's such a cool story. My wife, I knew Simone Biles had to quit gymnastics for a while. I didn't know why. And my wife explained to me that last night, that basically she got up in the air and then freaked out about where she was going to land. And it became like a mental thing. It made me think of like Rick Ankiel, unable to pitch, or Chuck Knobloch or something. And for her to come all the way back and then give that performance, I'm gonna tell the truth here, Toby. It was a second TV. There was no audio, but we stopped. We stopped the regular TV because my wife had already watched it, and I'm just watching it for my own personal records. And we stopped to watch that with audio. And her, what do you call it? The floor?
Yeah,
the floor exercise.
Routine, yeah.
The athleticism and specifically the verticality are just out of this world. Like, how do you generate? You're just running on the floor. Like, how do you generate the speed and velocity needed to jump that high?
Well, I saw someone was complaining because they were talking about the Brazilian that got the silver. I think she was Brazilian, Andrade or whatever. And they were talking about the vaults, and she landed a near perfect vault, if not the perfect vault. And it was great. But then they compared it to what Simone was doing, and she was complaining that how does she get a perfect landing and all that, and somehow Simone scores higher? And you watch the videos next to each other, and you're like, well, Simone's doing like 3 extra flips.
Right.
Like, she does stuff that just no one else can do, and it's impressive because, like you mentioned, she essentially got the yips for gymnastics. And, like, you know, it's different. Like, if you're a pitcher and you can't throw the ball in the zone, that's fine. Like, it sucks, and obviously that's going to hurt your livelihood, but it's not going to physically harm you. Whereas, like, if she gets lost in the air and has no idea what's going on, she can hurt herself big time. And for her to come back and perform like she has at this Olympics, it's been incredibly impressive. And the way that she does it, too. It's not like she squeaks by. She just dominates these people.
And for the ladies to win gold as a group, and then Biles to win gold on her own, and Suni to win bronze, right? On her own. It's just so impressive. But, dude, it cements my theory on the Olympics. I enjoy all of it, but I very much prefer like the events where someone wins to the events where there are judges. Like, give me track where people are just racing and you know who won. Like swimming, people are just racing and you know who wins. Like even diving, I think they should have a contest just to see how high people will dive. Like just move it up 10 meters every time. Like that would be badass. But diving becomes like judges, right? Gymnastics becomes judges. And then like the idea that like, oh, I submit my routine beforehand and they know how difficult it is, and then I'm graded out on my difficulty meter. Like it's incredible to watch, but I'm way more into like in skiing, right? Like I like the downhill. Like let's just have some speed, baby, versus the, I don't know, like ice skating. Ice skating is really cool, but ice skating to me is similar to gymnastics, and I just like track skiing.
Yeah,
like, give me the downhill.
I want to
see
see
speed.
People going at each other, right? Like that's why watching swimming's awesome. When you're watching someone chasing someone
down. There was an awesome
in that final
swim
50
race last night, I thought. How about Katie Ledecky? Dude, our boy Troy Macker posted some stats last night. Katie Ledecky, what is her race? The 1,500 meter, I think?
Yeah, that's her main race, yeah.
Yo, she is unbelievable. Katie Ledecky now has the same number of all-time Olympic medals as Chile, Israel, and Malaysia.
Wow.
That's crazy,
wow.
Right?
It's insane. And the thing is that you got to respect her for is like she could mail it in on some of the other events, knowing that she just dominates the 1500.
Right.
But she's out here trying. What was last night, the 4x200?
Yeah.
Like that's clearly not her event. But she's out there.
Well, dude,
and she's
I think
probably the best American swimmer.
The 200 free or something. But that Australian girl. Listen to this one, and this one hits close to home for me because it is home. Despite the moronic beer at the grocery store policy. I will read this. If Montgomery County, Maryland was its own country, it would rank in the top 50 for all-time Summer Olympic medals.
It's incredible.
That's crazy.
It's incredible.
All right, last Olympic note. This is a good trivia question here. Which country has the most Summer Olympic medals? And we'll ask the boys in the aquarium this too. Which country has the most Summer Olympic medals without a single Winter Olympics medal?
Ooh. Most summer without winter. Australia? No, it can't be Australia.
I don't know what Australia's getting winter medals in, but they must get something.
No idea.
You got a guess in the aquarium, boys?
I know the answer.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty. Jeffrey?
I don't have a guess. I'm over
Cuba.
here.
Okay. I don't know what you said, but I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I was
Cuba
about
has
to
the
talk
most
when you
Summer
started
Olympic
talking.
medals. There must be a lag because I'm on my end. That's not happening. Cuba, then Brazil, then Greece, then Kenya, then Turkey. All have a bunch of Summer Olympic medals, no Winter Olympics.
Speaking of Turkey, you see that guy that won the shooting that everybody loves?
Yeah.
Like everyone else is wearing this specialized stuff, and he's just out here just straight up raw dogging it with his glasses,
I like
just
that
going
guy.
at it.
Yeah, that guy's cool. All right, we are at Commanders Training Camp. I see on Twitter, Linnell claims it's day 8. I will go with that. Training camp just becomes this living being that just lives and goes. So I don't know exactly what to expect. What we saw today, it is, I would say, undoubtedly the hottest day out here so far. Based on that, I wouldn't expect it to be too long of a day. Does anybody remember like 2 days ago when Jaden Daniels not being the starter was like a big storyline, or at least a manufactured storyline? Well, that's over because he's out there with the ones. He's so clearly the starter and the best quarterback out here. Continues to impress. I think he continues to look good. Like the number one story all off season, all training camp, when we get to these preseason games, is what's up with Jaden Daniels. And I would say, through more than a week now of training camp, Jaden Daniels looks good.
Yeah, he looks really good. And I think the thing that impresses me most, JP, is like whatever he's able to do this year, that's yet to be determined. He has barely ever put the ball in harm's way out here. And I mean, seriously, he's never in harm's way. Like he had a deep ball today where he's throwing it to Diami. It was good coverage by Forbes. It was just overthrown. Like I can live with balls that just are never in harm's way. He's not going to turn the ball over because for so many rookie quarterbacks, that's their bugaboo. They just turn the ball over. They're not able to get from 1 to 2 to 3, and then they panic. And for him, that hasn't been the case. He just has not put the ball in a place where the other team can pick it off. And I think that's going to really help him going into this year as he continues to progress and get better and play against these teams is, can he continue to protect the ball like he did at LSU? And if that's the case, then you feel good about what they're going to be able to do because you're just not going to be giving the other team short fields.
Yeah, man, he was so good in college at protecting the football. And when you listen to Terry and Jahan specifically talk about his ability to put the ball in not just good, but great spots, like just where defenders can't get him, where only they can make a play on the ball, that stuff is really impressive. In his last 2 seasons at LSU, he threw 7 picks. And he dropped back a combined, I'm not a math guy, but 700 times, 388, 327. Like the percentage, the interception percentage of his throws is so low. Now it'd probably be a little naive to expect it to stay that low. And when you have Malik Neighbors running around against, a 6-year senior that is never going to the pros. That makes a difference too. Like there are some factors there, but the other thing that I noticed with Jaden is not only does it look good, but it's not everything at the line of scrimmage. Like he is trying to push it downfield kind of consistently. And that doesn't only mean like deep shots, but it means those deep crossers. I think we've seen a lot of his wideouts and tight ends realizing that they can sit down in a soft little spot on his own and he'll find them. Did just have a pick. This I don't believe it was a Jaden throw, but Tyler Owens is a young safety we've talked about a lot. Undrafted guy out of Texas Tech. He just grabbed a pick. I think the bottom end, and I actually asked Dan Quinn about this today, the bottom end of that safety roster is going to be really tricky to figure out. And one of the factors that's really going to be tricky with it is saving a spot for Jeremy Reeves, which all signs would point to they're doing. This group re-signed him, and they re-signed him relatively early. They gave him some guaranteed money. Like they treated him like a priority, and generally when you do that, that player is going to be a part of things. One, don't want to say issue, but one thing to keep an eye on. I mean, I was watching at practice today. So there's no Derek Force. Derek Force is out today, a little bit of a hamstring injury. And DQ said not a long-term thing, could be back in a limited role as early as Monday. They're off tomorrow. They're back Sunday. I kind of speed guy, hamstring, I always tend super cautious on those things. I Defoe being out a little while. Defoe hasn't really been – they're doing a lot of rotating, which is important to note. But it's been a lot more Percy Butler than I was expecting. And then it's Chin and Quan, and those are kind of your safeties. I think eventually you'll get to a place where you've got Forbes and maybe St. Juice and Sammer still, and then I won't be – and then probably Quan and Chin. Maybe some of that Percy role and Sammer still moves outside. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts, and unfortunately injuries usually have a lot to do with it. Kind of try to get some information on that from DQ, and he's like, a lot of it's dictated by what the offense is doing. So I think all that is quite important. I want to get into some nuts and bolts stuff. We expect to hear from a few players at the podium. We are just getting warmed up here on BMitch and Finlay. At some point, BMitch is going to call from his bike ride. Going to be a fun day. It's a Scotty's Vodka Rebel Friday starting at 11 a.m. Nobody go anywhere.